got detained? Why? Hash. Everybody knows why. You know why?
Yeah.
Why am I making this point?
Right.
Because Brittany Griner got more due process from Russia under Vladimir Putin than Gerald Morrow got from CPS under Pedro Martinez.
Wow.
That's not hyperbole. You can quantify that. Brittany Griner knew what she was charged with. You know what she's charged with. Do you know what Gerald Morrow is charged with?
No.
Neither does Gerald Morrow. Gerald Morrow got removed in December. And I'll never forget, I was in a meeting with Pedro. Pedro was sitting right across the table from me. And the Senate Chief of Staff, Jake Butcher, was right there. And we were negotiating over a bill, a law, a legislation. And I tried to make a point. I said, Mr. Butcher, and I brought up Gerald Morrow and how he doesn't get due process. And Pedro said, no. Just wait till the report comes out. You'll see. 7 months later, it's still not out. What he really should have said is, just wait till we find something. Because that's why the report's not out. Because they removed him with no report because they still looking. And they're never going to find anything. So once again, Brittany Griner got more due process from Russia under Vladimir Putin than Gerald Morrow got from CPS under Pedro Martinez. Everybody give it up for Gerald Morrow. Let him tell his story.
Thank you, Troy. Good morning, everyone. My name is Gerald Morrow, and I'm a proud educator of Chicago Public Schools. I've been an educator for over 32 years.
Yes, sir.
I'm a proud product of Chicago Public Schools.
Yes, sir.
Marcus Garvey Elementary School and old M.L. King High School. I've been around this district doing some of the toughest work that you could imagine.
Yes.
I've been to the West Side with Achievement Academies. Achievement Academies were schools where children did not graduate from 8th grade, but they were put into a certain program to give them all of the resources that they need.
Yes.
However, after it was successful, CPS removed the program. So children who were primarily black did not get the support and resources that they need. Anything and everything I say, fact check it. I'm telling all of the journalists right now, fact check it. Why were those academies removed? They served black children and gave them all the resources that they needed. I transitioned to Robeson High School, which is now Inglewood, still in the Inglewood community. The school was totally disinvested in. The school was so bad that when it rained inside the school. Why are we sending our black children in Inglewood to go to a school that was so detrimental? Again, go back and fact check it. It was a school that had close to 28 to 30% diverse learners. Go back and fact check it. Right now in Chicago Public Schools, the neighborhood schools are the ones who have the most diverse learners. They are the ones with the biggest challenges. Why aren't they being supported? There are supposed to be 14% of diverse learners in selective enrollment schools. There are less than 8. Why is that happening? They are putting the most marginalized children in certain areas. I transitioned from Robeson High School to Dunbar High School. That's where all of the things began to start. I spoke out against what they taught principals about manage your LSC. I worked with my LSC and the community to bring programs to Dunbar. Dunbar had dropped all the way to 230 students. Under my leadership, one of the biggest things that's in CPS right now, they try to tell you that it's instruction, but the biggest challenge is enrollment. Dunbar's enrollment increased from 230 close to 500 students. Why? Because I made sure that working with the LSC and the community, we put programs back inside of Dunbar. We partnered with a barber college to make sure that we put the programs back in. We built a music studio to put the programs back in. We built the aviation program to put the students back in the building. We had a student who was en route to getting his pilot's license. With all of the things that are going on in our community with our black boys, why are you targeting a school and a school leader that made sure that African American young men and women had an opportunity to be successful? They put a program in the building that was strictly done for a political measure. It has not shown any dividends towards making sure that our children have opportunities. The program named Chicago Bills, journalists investigated. You will find out exactly what I'm saying. Again, fact check it. You will see exactly what it is. But children have not matriculated to and through that program. The program was systematically put forth by Chicago Public Schools. It is not a new issue, but it still needs to be investigated. Looking at all of these different things, due process has not happened. This is something that has happened to African American leaders, teachers, especially our black males, for over the last 20 to 25 years. This is nothing new. This process and this system has to be disrupted. It has to be dismantled. We have to disappoint the people who want to make sure that our students, our black male students, do not see people that look like them. Chicago Public Schools, you keep saying representation matters. What can a black boy be if he cannot see somebody who looks like him? Somebody who advocates for him. I initiated a black male leadership group who came together to discuss the discriminatory practices that have been done towards black male leaders. CPS did not initiate this. It was initiated by other black male leaders like myself to voice our concerns about how we were treated, how we were devalued. We have carried CPS's heaviest loads for the last 25 years. And all we have been done is told that you've been disrespected. You don't know instructions. You cannot lead a building. Go be Joe Clark with a bullhorn. Put your Superman cape on. Stop the fights. Not only did we love our children to life, we improved academics, we improved enrollment, we brought programs to the building. We worked with the community. And we have been ostracized for doing one thing: elevating our voice, loving on children, and making sure that the families and the children of Chicago Public Schools, especially in the African American community, can be served. We will continue to use our voice. We will continue to fight. We will not stand down. We will make sure that these systems and structures are dismantled by the law department to make sure that due process goes forward. I still do not know, Paz, they told me mismanagement is all it is. They have not said anything else for 7 months. I have no idea. But at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about setting a precedent of how we're going to treat our leaders, especially African American leaders, who have done the heaviest loads in this district. But ultimately, this is taken away from children. Muhammad and I and others like me, we were there to serve our communities and serve our children. Our children deserve better. To God be the glory.
Brother Morrow, one more round? Now I'm gonna revisit that. Now imagine the CEO and the Chief Education Officer of Chicago Public Schools. I'm not playing. I think we need to start a campaign. Imagine those two men leading this district. How much brighter would the future of black children and all children be? Are we gonna turn our attention to our good sister, Miss Kimberly Gibson?
All right now. Come on, Miss Gibson. Tell it like that. Let's move our black children from CPS.
Before we give her the mic, I want you all to see what she was facing. And her question was to CPS CEO, when I got a text saying, Miss Gibson, we finally got you, you won't be here long, nigga. What was the response from CPS? Why did they put her on an island and let her conspirators continue to attack her? And ultimately, why did they give in to her conspirators to terminate her contract? So at this point, we want to make sure that all the media can hear from her. Thank you.
Push off the side.
Okay, perfect.
So we can actually see her.
Perfect.
Black children lives matter.
Is that okay, guys? Yeah. Okay.
Let's go.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would like to first say My name is Dr. Kimberly Gibson. I worked hard to earn that name. Dr. Kimberly Gibson.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, I am the proud product of Chicago Public Schools. I attended John Hay Elementary School, and I graduated from the great Whitney Young High School. I need you right now, my Dolphin family, to stand with me against what's going on in Chicago Public Schools. All my life I loved school. All I dreamed about was coming back to my community and being a leader in education. I was a parent volunteer. I'm the proud mother of 8 wonderful children who attended Gibson School and a landlocked charter academy. And I gave my time to help other children, but I saw a need to help those most marginalized. I became a teacher assistant, then went back to school to become a special education teacher. I coached on the West Side. I worked at Spencer Technology Academy, Duke Ellington School, and John Hay, the school that I originally attended.
Wow.
I gave my all. I joined the Chicago Leadership Collaborative, which is part of CPS, to become an administrator, so I too could make a difference.
That's me.
Not only in my community, but in this city of Chicago.
That's right.
I dared to be different. I was a resident principal for 1 year at Audubon Elementary. Audubon Elementary, where I was supported by staff that did not look like me. The next year, I received a 4-year contract at Lewis Agassiz School, which had just been renamed Harriet Tubman.
Right.
Yeah.
Just imagine a black woman walking in there as a leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All I did is take training on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I took that with me. And as a leader, I stood up so our school would reflect someone that all of our students could look up to,
That's
our
right.
staff and our community.
All of us.
Harriet Tubman. When I went to the board and asked for money to get the marquee changed, I was met with no, because if we do it for you, we have to do it for others. I didn't talk about it. I did work. I worked with Senator Fagenhost. I worked with our community. I worked with the aldermen to raise the money. And on February 14th, our school reflected Harriet Tubman's name.
That's right.
Yeah.
A week later, on February 23rd, 2022, I was honored as part of CPS Honor and Excellence.
Come on.
Alongside Ms. Gators from the West Side Marshall High School. And I was honored to be honored with that leader alongside my students.
Yes.
But every time I think of the good stuff, I cannot forget 4 months after becoming principal, somebody texts me, and not just somebody, but it's a group. Because as an educator, I want to read this to you. Ms. Gibson, we, here it is right here. Finally got you, you won't be here long, nigga. Can you imagine what that felt like? Can you imagine me fearing for my life? Having to go home and tell my kids what happened? Filing a police report, and still I have not received any justice. I reported it to my superior, and instead of supporting me, I was treated with victim shaming and victim blaming.
My Lord.
It was 3 months went past, and it wasn't until March that administrator came along. And instead of them helping me, they didn't support me.
My Lord. We stand with you.
You know what I'm
Dr.
asking?
Gibson. We stand with you, Dr. Gibson.
Yeah.
I'm asking y'all to stand up against this discrimination.
That's right. That's right.
I'm asking for support. I'm asking you to think of how our young kids feel. When they discriminated against, are they just transferred or terminated? Then why would you do that to a school leader? Why would you do that to a woman who's off on disability, trying to recover from the stress that I had to endure after becoming ill in the federal city and CPS helping me?
Yes, take your time.
After 5 white parents come and complain about me when they wouldn't let my CPA president speak. They let 5 white people speak against me, but I'm here to tell you, our views,
That ain't right.
our voices, they won't be muted.
That's right.
Our visibility will be shown. This is systemic racism. This is discrimination. I am the victim of a hate crime.
Yes,
And the one thing we all got, we all
Yes, ma'am.
Deserve justice.
we we all got in common is we all black.
Yes.
And we need more black male and women leaders.
Yes.
Because I might be the next CEO. It could be any of us.
Yes.
But right now we request a due process and a fair opportunity to tell our story.
Yeah.
Because we have the power to change this narrative and write our own story.
That's right. That's
To
right.
any administrators, community members out here who think that this is not about race, look at this again.
Come on now.
You won't be here long, nigga. I didn't think they'd get away with this, but guess what? I was terminated. They think they got away with it, but I'm here while on disability,
That's right. Come on.
and my contract was terminated. While I'm sitting up in a hospital, they conspiring to get rid of me. In a city where all black leaders should be appreciated,
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
valued,
Yes.
celebrated, and respected.
Amen.
We have been marginalized. Our names have been besmirched. And it is not going to continue.
It will
That's
not.
right.
While it was important that I was the first black principal woman at Harriet Tubman, it's important for all of these black leaders up here,
That's right.
for y'all to join the fight with us against what they do.
Take your time, sis. Take your time.
And so they can hear you.
Everybody got a story in their life.
We have a right to due process.
That's right.
Due process. Due process. Due process. Y'all give it up for Dr. Kimberly Gibson. Say her name, Dr. Kimberly Gibson.
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 And the reason I'm doing that, Troy, is because I can only imagine how isolated, how disrespected, and how alone she felt, Mr. Gibson, when she got this text. But we're here to tell you, Dr. Gibson, we will represent you, and we will make sure that you get your due process. They will not be able to silence your voice, the voice of any black principal or any black educator. Not anymore. Not today, not tomorrow, not forever. One more show of love for Dr. Kimberly Gibson. Dr. Kimberly Gibson. Did you want to handle the microphones again? Are you okay? Someone came up. You want to raise it? Okay. All right, then we're going to go to Q&A. Student and then Q&A. Okay. Thank you, sir. We're going to have a student speak, and then we're going to take your questions. Good? When...
You got the wires, hold on.
I'll move closer to you guys. How about that? You're not by yourself.
Yeah, that's probably fine. It's gonna be more because we went down the wires.
They won't get away.
Black children lives.
One of the things that would happen when I started to represent and advocate for Abdul Muhammad is I heard his story. I'd go places with him. And I remember one time we were in a restaurant and I said, can we walk outside and talk for a minute? No more than 3 minutes out there, a student walks by, a young man, he's in his 20s, Mr. Muhammad, my favorite teacher. And this kind of thing happened over and over and over again with this man. And I want to introduce one of those students and let us speak for a minute, Ms. Amber Leach.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Speak your truth, Queen.
I stand here not only as a youth advocate, but as a community organizer as well.
And what's your name?
I'm Amber Leaks, Leaks.
All right, Amber Lee.
And I'm both an alumni of St. Sabina and alumni of CBS, where Mr. Muhammad was a teacher of mine. I would, in a society where there are already a lack of resources and people who really care about our youth, I just don't understand how the decision to remove Mr. Muhammad was ever a consideration. A man who commits to educating and empowering, supporting and uplifting, community and involvement. Changing lives one youth at a time. We talk about crime, about gang activity, yet the system continues to take away the resources and the people who really care and have positive impacts on our youth. We can't talk about change and then take away the very change and the people who are willing to establish that change. The system has already failed our Black youth, and with decisions like this, it continues to fail our youth. There is not one student or mentee that Mr. Muhammad has taught, mentored, or led that will tell you that they didn't feel the love he had for teaching, for community, and for his students.
Go ahead. And we want to acknowledge Attorney Samantha O'Dean Yates, also the great lawyer representing Gerald Morrow. Give it up for that, sir.
She's not representing Gerald. She's not representing Gerald. She is representing, is it Abdul? Abdul. We just wanted to acknowledge your presence. All right, so we have to skip some speakers, but I at least want to acknowledge Lindblom parent Michael Dwyer, who came here today. If the press has any questions for parents, he is here. Well, they said, come on up if you want to say a quick word, Brother Dwyer.
Troy, I'm back.
I'll do my part. Yes, sir.
Come on and do it.
State your name again, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Mark Dreyer, and I'm the parent of one Lindblom graduate and 2 current Lindblom students.
Yes, sir.
I have been an involved Lindblom parent since 2015, and I am also an Illinois public school teacher going on my 18th year as a professional educator. When Mr. Muhammad was first hired as the principal of Lindblom, as a parent, I was shocked to receive a letter in the mail to all Lindblom parents stating that although Mr. Muhammad was chosen by the hiring committee, the ALSC decided not to give him a permanent contract for reasons that were not given to us as parents.
My Lord.
As a parent, that tells me that Mr. Muhammad didn't have a fighting chance from the beginning. Why would you hire a school principal and then choose not to make his contract permanent even before school began? Before students started attending, they notified us as parents that, we're on the fence about whether his contract permanent. Even though he passed the hiring committee, the rigorous inspection, the process, we're still not sure if his contract's going to be permanent.
Break it down, brother. Break
From
it
the
down.
time that Mr. Muhammad started as principal of Lindblom, I have seen nothing but excellent and positive leadership. As a parent of a student on the basketball team, the team asked Mr. Muhammad for a training device that was needed to help them compete with other schools in our league, and Mr. Muhammad got them exactly what they needed immediately. Lindblom's basketball team held their own in one of the most competitive leagues in Chicago, and yet I personally felt that staff members from Lindblom did not give the basketball team the recognition they deserved because they did not want it to be considered a credit to Mr. Muhammad as a success under his leadership as a principal. So we felt some backlash in trying to celebrate the achievements of our students. I've also seen social media posts of Islamophobic comments from Lindblom teachers and staff discriminating against him. It's bad enough to discriminate against somebody because of their religion. How much worse for white teachers to come into the heart of West Englewood and discriminate against a black Muslim? If you are not okay, if you have a problem forming a relationship with black Muslims, then what are you doing teaching in West Englewood?
That's right.
If you're going to come and teach in our neighborhood, get to know the community that you're teaching. And build some relationship. And if you take the time to build a relationship with Mr. Muhammad, you'll find a man that is not there to give preference to people based on his race or religion. You'll find a man that is there based on a set of ethics and principles and a very high moral code that he holds all of the students to. And since Mr. Muhammad came, the fighting has stopped. Mutual respect among students has increased. Achievement levels have increased. And he was fired, he was removed, and we as parents still have not been given any reason as to why Mr. Muhammad was removed. And yet we saw nothing but positive change in the Lindblom community since his arrival. Now we want Principal Muhammad to receive due process and to receive the honor he deserves for all the hard work he has done for the lives of our students and the professional educator community at Lindblom.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
right, we will open up, we will just give our list of demands, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Yes.
We have 3 entities that we would like to take action. The first one is the United States Department of Justice Office of Civil Rights Division.
Yes, Lord.
We want you to investigate the abusive and discriminatory patterns and practices of the Chicago Public Schools and develop a consent decree. Let me say that again. We want you to investigate. We want you. It's a short one. Well, there's a short in this one, but not in these over here. All right. We want the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division to investigate the abusive and discriminatory patterns and practices of Chicago public schools and develop a consent decree to stop those practices.
That's right.
For the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus and the Illinois State Board of Education, we want you to hold hearings on the systems within CPS that disproportionately target and persecute black principals and disempower local school councils and predominantly black schools and propose new legislation and rules to prevent similar abuse.
Right.
To Mayor Brandon Johnson, I want to be clear.
Come on, speak.
All of this happened before Brandon Johnson.
Yes.
We don't blame Brandon Johnson.
Right.
He didn't have anything to do with the creation of these unjust systems.
That's right.
But he is now the decision maker. And he can make some decisions to destroy and undo these unjust systems. And we ask him to join with us as an ally to do the following.
Effectively, immediately.
Direct the Board of Education to return Abdul Muhammad, Gerald Morrow, Kimberly Gibson, and all black principals who were discriminated against and persecuted by CPS officials to their rightful position and issue a public apology to all affected principals and all affected school communities. Apologize to the children for what you did to them when you removed their great, strong black leaders. Apologize to the children. Direct the Board of Education to contract an independent firm to investigate the departments and systems that disproportionately target and persecuted black principals and suspend all board employees implicated in the targeting and persecution. These suspensions should include the CEO, Pedro Martinez. And lastly, we ask the mayor to join with us as an ally to direct your floor leader in the city council to work with the Black Caucus and Education Committee to hold hearings on the systems within CPS that disproportionately target and persecute black principals and disempower local school councils and predominantly black schools. We further ask that the mayor and each caucus and committee member be an ally in calling for action from the Department of Justice, state legislature, and Illinois State Board of Education. We now open it up for questions.
Sure. First question right out the bat. Yesterday, the mayor made some decisions in terms of the board. He's reorganizing who he's putting on the board. How does that relate to this case, and are you hopeful? The second part to that question, his chief of staff, John Roberson, is an alum of Lindblom, class of '87. Does that also give you hope that they will address the situation regarding Principal Muhammad and others?
Okay, so the question was, what are my thoughts on the fact that there's a new Board of Education that was appointed yesterday and its effect on this? And the other one was the Chief of Staff being John Roberson, being a Lindblom alumni. In terms of the Board of Education, the people that he put on there, the people he selected, I know almost all of them. I know almost all of their work. They do good work. They're people who are progressive, people who want to see justice. At the same time, we know people have allies. Right. And it is very unfortunate that some of the people who took part in this are part of the leadership in these schools of the Chicago Teachers Union. Those 80 lives all came from the teachers who were led by their CTU rep. And so there's a lot of sensitive alliances that are going to, people are going to have to go to their friends and say, hey, y'all messed up. You're my friend. You're my friend, CTU. Everybody know me. I risk my job for CTU. If you look at my own personal discipline papers, dismissal papers, you see supported CTU strike in my discipline papers. But as a friend, I got to go to you and say, this isn't right. You guys supported this behavior. There's systems within your union that will destroy you. I need to see you strong. You need to get rid of these systems that do things like this to men like this. And I just don't know if they have it in them to have that conversation, but I'll hope and pray to God that they do.
Right.
And then, you know, and I have the same answer for John Roberson. People have different alliances. And we don't know which alliance is the strongest. I don't think they won't do the right thing. I won't think they will do the right thing. I'll ask and I'll wait for them to tell me who they are.
Right.
With their actions.
Good.
And I hope they tell me something good, like Shaka Khan. Other questions? Hold up, brother. This guy was next, and then you.
Speaking to Abdul's character, he didn't talk about it, but there are some individuals that did not know this. When he addressed the money situation, he didn't mention, but when you mentioned that the person thought the money was theirs, and they thought that they had a right to keep that money, it was actually
I don't want to go into that much detail. I hear your point, but one of the things, he never threw any of them under the bus, even though they tried to throw them. Even the one who stole money, he never mentioned it publicly, even though they were lying behind the scenes against him. Right. The man's character is just unbelievable and impeccable. Sir. All options.
We're going to explore all legal avenues to get justice for these black principals.
That's right.
Each one of them, all 7 of them.
That's right.
We will not let them be swept under the rug and then say that this is the new precedent that you can discriminate against black principals and get away with it.
Right.
Right. Any other press questions? Chinta.
Yes.
Hold on. We got Chinta right here.
How do you feel about 7 white teachers leading charge to fire Mr. Muhammad in 2023?
How do you feel about 7 white teachers leading the charge to fire Mr. Muhammad? I think Brother Mark Dreyer said it best. I don't want to say anything other than what he said.
Yeah, right.
Those 7 white teachers coming into an all-black, majority black school with a majority black local school council with a majority black community, right? And trying to dictate who their principal should be.
That's right.
Like, just the statement itself speaks to its ludicrousness. It's insanity. So that's my statement. I don't know if you had something you wanted to say about it.
That's what it is.
What I would add to that is, I would ask us a question. Do black people have the right to self-determination? Do black people have the same rights that every other race, every other ethnic group? We live in the most segregated city in America. And 2 or 3 black teachers can't go to Chinatown and plot and plan against an Asian or Chinese American principal, and the law department co-sign every lie that they tell, and the community stand behind that. It's insane to even think that would happen. We can't go to Pilsen, a little village, and 2 or 3 black teachers who don't like the Latino principal get together and go to the law department with over 80 lies, and then they are successful in their campaigns. So the question that we need to answer is, do black people have the same rights? Do we have the right to self-determination? Do we have the right to choose our leaders without outside interference? Choose for what's best for ourselves and our community. That is the question.
I'll add one more thing to that too. One reason those other groups wouldn't do that is because they know that the system is not designed for them to be successful in attempting it. Those white teachers understand the system they work in. And they felt empowered by the racist system set up by CPS to engage in the behavior, the deplorable behavior they engaged in. They knew the system would back them up once it saw their white skin.
That's why we're going to straighten it.
A few more questions.
Can you or will you be releasing the claims made against Muhammad and the evidence you have that refutes those claims?
Well, first is absolutely. But remember my point. When we released the report by itself says nothing. It's only when you release the report with the witnesses statements, with the actual documentation. This is an 81-page report. And so what we would like to do is work with the press to release it because we have small staff. So we would like to release it in segments at a time with the evidence as we're able to gather it and eventually have the whole thing out there. So absolutely. The big question is yes.
When will you start releasing that?
We're going to have Mr. Muhammad do it, but he has always stood for transparency. But more importantly, what we as a society stand for is due process of the law.
That's right.
Why does he have to do it this way? Why can't they have a hearing? I mean, this is the United States of America, where we say people are innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around. They say this brother was guilty until proven innocent. So why don't you ask that same question to the CPS CEO and say, when is going to be the open hearings for you to make the accusations against Mr. Muhammad and Mr. Muhammad and his legal team to be able to respond to them and have an impartial, unbiased arbitrator declare if these charges were unjust. And once they hear them, we have no doubt they're going to conclude that these charges were unjust, and this brother will be restored to doing what he has done just as good as any other person in the history of education in Chicago. And that is to be a principal for schools and children he loves.
How about the CEO of CPS?
And I just want to add, can you all hear me?
That's right.
We do have a website, justiceforabdulmuhammad.com. And to Attorney Ben Crump's point, I should not, in America, I shouldn't have to prove my innocence. They should provide the evidence to prove that I'm guilty.
That's right.
That didn't happen.
Amen.
So
That's
in
right.
the instance that didn't happen, what we've done is we've compiled the evidence to prove that I'm innocent.
Right.
All they did was take the word of 7 white teachers. They never fact-checked what they said. The only person in the entire report that they fact-checked was me. And they went to the same people that were lying to fact-check me. So the fact that I have to prove my innocence should be problematic for everybody.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, question over
coming
here.
to you.
Yes.
We're going to come to you, then her, and then that'll be it. I do want to implore everybody that what we're asking for is simple due process.
That's right.
We're not asking for anything unreasonable.
That's right.
Dr. Kimberly Gibson, Principal Gerald Morrow, Principal Abdul Muhammad, they deserve due process. They deserve fairness. We're not asking for anything that you wouldn't want for your student, leader in your community. Why should it be different in the black community? We're coming directly to the CPS CEO and the leadership saying, where's the due process? When are we going to have the open public hearings?
There you go, right there.
This is America.
That's right.
As Troy said, this isn't Russia.
That's right.
This is America.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am, and then you.
Okay, we're standing here now because we're representing the 14,000 black African American teachers that were terminated. It's a conspiracy where in the state of Illinois, only 3% of the teaching staff is black African American. And she's 20%. 19% now of the black teaching force. Since the late 90s, we've lost 14,000 black teacher positions. In the late 90s, our union was 50% African American, 18,000 black teachers strong. We have moved 19%, which is less than 4,000 black teachers now in the system. This is about the entire black education system, principals, students, parents, and teachers. We should all be standing together. Yes. There you go.
We agree. Thank you.
We agree.
Thank you for your support. We should follow your case. Last question.
Yes.
Thank you, teachers, for standing with the principals. Thank you, black teachers, for standing with the black principals.
Yes. Naima Latif with On Air Daily News. You mentioned the CEO as someone who should be fired or terminated. Do you have an extensive list of those who have been involved in this unfairness that you would recommend be terminated?
I'm going to leave that to the local officials here. Let's make it clear. Our request is for due process.
Right.
And that means, as the Minister Malcolm X said, I am for truth, no matter who tells it, and I am for justice, no matter who that's for or who that's against. And we let the chips fall where they may.
That's right. Thank you all. We'll hang around for anybody who has questions individually, but this ends the press conference.